at the end of the citation. Okay, so that's how to do a quotation. You can look at more examples in the book, again in chapter 16, starting on page 329. Okay, so now we don't want to fill our text with quotations. Whenever possible, it's also good to use paraphrasing. And if you guys remember, paraphrasing is taking the author's words and putting them into your own. So if you see up here, you can see my quotation. And now here, I'm going to paraphrase that. So in this example, it would go like this. In order for any student to succeed in class, he or she must be able to focus. The ability to focus is a skill that many students from poverty have not developed. And now here's my paraphrase. Students without proper housing are more apprehensive and have a much harder time focusing compared to students who have stable homes. So even though now these are my words, I wrote this sentence. I'm not taking a sentence from the text, but the idea and the information comes from Kaufman and Weiss. It comes from that text I read. So I still have to provide a citation. I still have to give them credit. And when you fail to do this, when you fail to give proper credit to the author of the text, it's like you're stealing it, which in academia that's called plagiarism. And accidental or not, if that happens, if it happens more than once, it's a very dangerous thing for a student. We're talking, it can get you in big trouble. Most teachers will automatically will give you a 0 on something that they suspect is plagiarized or not properly cited. And it can be grounds for expulsion from a school if it happens multiple times. Okay, now one last piece about that. So you've either incorporated a quotation. Some people say quote. Quote is actually a verb. The noun is quotation. Or you've paraphrased the author. Either way, you've provided credit to the authors. Now, I want to hit on one last thing, and that is that we don't want to overuse quotations or paraphrasing. We want to make sure that this essay you're writing is overall your thoughts. It's your thinking, your writing, and we want to use our resources to back as facts, as evidence to prove what we're trying to say. And that's why I wanted to tell you a little bit about claim data warrant. So if you look at this expanded paragraph, I just copied the last few sentences I wrote. So you could think of my first sentence as kind of our mini lead-in or our transition from our introductory paragraph to our first body paragraph. In order for any student to succeed in class, he or she must be able to focus. Now, I'm going to make a claim. I'm going to say something, say what I think is right. The ability to focus is a skill that many students from poverty have developed. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Now I need some data. I need to back that claim up with a fact. Okay, so that's where our resources come in. So now that can be either a paraphrase or a quotation. So here I have my paraphrase sentence. Students without proper housing are more apprehensive and have a much harder time focusing compared to students who have stable homes. And then I've cited the authors of the text. Now, the last part I want to do, and this is what I've added, is I want to justify the data that I've put in. I want to justify that evidence that I put in. So this is what we call a warrant. So if a student is concerned about his or her family, if a student is concerned his or her family will be evicted, concentrating in class will obviously be more challenging for that student than someone who does not have to deal with a similar situation. So this sentence acts as a warrant for my evidence I put in. I'm saying this is why that fact that I just told you, that fact that I brought in matters. That's why it's important. And so you can see overall this paragraph is largely my thoughts and my writing, and I'm just taking a little bit of evidence from a researched text. Okay, so that's it for incorporating resources into our text. Lastly, and really importantly, let's talk about our Works Cited page. Please do not skim over this. A lot of people have a tendency to say, yeah, I get it. This is a very tedious process once you have a lot of resources. Fortunately, with ours, we are only going to have one or two resources. So you only have one or two resources on your Works Cited page for this assignment. Again, you're still, if you've done your header properly with insert page number, it'll be whatever page your Works Cited sheet comes up on. If you cannot start your Works Cited page in the middle of a page. So let's say you're typing your essay and you wrap up your conclusion paragraph on page 3. Go ahead and hit return until you get to a new page. You want to have a separate page for your Works Cited. Okay, what I'd like you to do is take out your everyday writing and turn again in chapter 16. We want to look at page 333. At the bottom of that page, MLA Works Cited examples. Now, I can't go over all of these. Like I said, it's a little different for every single one. And there are, in the book alone, it names 22 different types of resources. And each one of those is going to be cited somewhat differently. And every single piece of punctuation matters. But here's the gist of it. You're basically giving the names of the authors, the title of the text, where the text comes from, the publisher, the date it was published, and the date it was accessed if it's a web source. So because we're all using web sources for this research project, this academic essay, I'm going to go ahead and focus on a web resource for my example. Okay, so if you look at example number 10 on page 336, that's magazine article web. Okay, and so you'll see the first thing we put is the author's name, last name first, first name last. I have two authors, so I put the main author of this text first. It also happens to be the alphabetical order of these authors by their last name. K comes before W. If you have multiple authors, you'll say and then give their names. At the end, period, after the authors. Now, you want to put the title of your text right here. The title of your text is going to have quotation marks around it. So that's the title of your text. Next is the title of the publication, which in my case it was The Nation. That should be italicized. So the names of magazines, newspapers, journals, books are italicized. You need a period after that. Next you have the name of the publisher, which is often the same as the name of the magazine or the newspaper, but in some cases it will be different. So just pay attention to that. So here I have The Nation, and then comma, and then this is the date that the text itself was published. It has to be written in this order, just like our heading in an MLA formatted paper. So 19th December 2012, period. And then this last date is the date you accessed it on the web. So web.20 October 2013, period. Okay? So, if you can't, most of the time, if you print out your resources, it should have the date you printed it out on there somewhere. If not, just be sure to jot it down when you're doing your research, or try to get your absolute best guess within a few days. So again, a lot of really nitpicky stuff on there, but it's really important, and this really proves that you're being honest about your resources, that you're not copying. And if I read your text and I say, oh wow, that's really interesting, I'd like to read more about it, now I can find, this makes it easy for someone reading my essay to find this information. Okay. If you guys are using two resources, so let's say I have two, you want to make sure they are in alphabetical order. Okay, and notice the indentations. It's it's a reverse indentation. So the first line of the citation is not indented. And then all our other lines of the citation are indented. And that just makes it easy for your readers to find the author's last name. Because remember, that's what you're going to be putting in your in-text citations. So I see here in my paper, I see Kaufman and Weiss. So now, when I'm reading the work cited, I can see, oh, Kaufman, Gregg, and Elaine Weiss. Okay, it must be that. That's the citation that goes with that in-text citation. Okay, so that's about it for our works cited page. And honestly, that's about it for tonight's lecture. So if you have any questions, please text me. You have my number, 303-514-8594. Or you can call me. You can email me. So remember, on Thursday, October 31st, on Halloween, you need to bring your essay rough draft. That's really important, so we can peer edit and peer review your rough draft. You really want to get some feedback on it. It's an important essay. It's worth twice as much as your first ones. And if you have not finished your web resources assignment, you absolutely must finish that and get that to me as soon as possible. And that goes for any other missing work that you have. We are truly, truly running out of time here. We basically have 3 weeks in November and a couple weeks in December, so we're down to really our last few weeks, and you do not want to wait till the last minute to get anything missing or anything that you need to redo into me as soon as possible. Okay, thanks for listening. I hope you folks have a great night and get some work done